Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, a place where you can come to get what you need to move yourself forward. This is Mary Baker, and welcome to episode 30, Energy Remedies, how to tackle those energy drainers. So last week we did a really thorough assessment of the different categories of energy drainers in your life. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, I would encourage you to stop and go back and listen to that episode or listen to it again so that you can have a better sense of where you are and then come back and join us here. All right, so all month we're talking about what are energy drainers, what are tolerations, what are things we haven't faced. Okay, so this week I want to talk about how do we rectify and how do we remedy now that we have identified what is really draining our energy. Okay, so as a reminder, energy drainers are anything we don't want to confront, to address, take care of, or blow up. We put it off, we procrastinate, and it creates a lot of stress, and it hurts our self-confidence and self-esteem. It drains our energy. We actually feel more emotionally and physically tired. Okay, so last week we named the different categories of energy drainers, so this week I'm going to go through each one. And I'm going to give you a sense of how to tackle them. This is by no means the only method you can use. Feel free to do whatever feels right for you. My hope is that I'll give you somewhat of a framework and you can take it from there. All right, so the main idea is that we want to create better sustainable decisions, better choices. Really, what we're talking about are better habits that you're going to begin to incorporate as part of your life. So I love the idea that it's just habits, it's just choices, because guess what? That makes it attainable. That makes it possible. No matter who we are or where we are, we can always make better choices. We can always create better habits. So in other words, it's chunking it down. It's breaking it down into manageable pieces so that we're not so, what my clients talk about all the time, paralyzed. Where it feels like you don't even know where to start. You don't even know if you can start or even if it's possible to tackle the mountain. So I just wanted to point that out, that the whole idea, this episode, is to say, yeah, we can do this. There is a way. Okay? All right, so there are a couple different principles that I want to talk about before we get into each category. And the main idea is what I call the toggle switches, on and off, on and off. Something that you flip back and forth between. So, for example, maybe you struggle deeply with boundaries. And so some items on this list today, you may have to wait until you're stronger and go work on your boundaries. However, sometimes you can toggle back and forth while working on boundaries, also showing yourself that you can by simply starting. So you're kind of doing both. You're experiencing setting small boundaries for yourself, and you're learning clinically why boundaries are important, what they mean, then why we may struggle to have them organically. The doing gives you the proof. It is experiential data, and it's my favorite kind of data, because if I try something and it works, I'm sold. It also shows you how it really feels to be on the other side a little bit. You just changed your reality and I would say changed yourself. You're changing how you're perceiving you as a person. One of my favorite quotes is, I can't think my way into a new way of living. I can only live my way into a new way of thinking. Sometimes we're not going to have the motivation or the confidence to go tackle something. But if we try a little bit at a time, we become more empowered as we go. And then we get better and better. Those of you who have played a sport or have a craft, you know what I'm talking about. You get better at something as you go. Okay, so one of the helpful things you can do for each of these categories is create a little mini chart. On the left side is, yeah, I'm ready to do this. Number 2 is the other side, I'm not ready. Maybe I need to heal some things. Maybe I need to learn about, what is the real obstacle in the way for me. Maybe I need some help doing that. So the toggle is you can go back and forth, or you can do both. I want you to trust yourself and know what you need. I think intuitively you'll have a sense like, yeah, I can do that, or, oh crap, no, I need some help. And it's all okay, because both pieces are important. The underlying healing is really important, as is making it happen. Okay, so the second part is the experiment. I love experimentation. You've heard me talk about it before. It comes from Nathaniel Branden. He did a lot of this experimentation work with his clients. And so kind of what I've learned over the years is, number 1, it reduces our anxiety around risk and perfectionism, the all or nothing, perfect or horrible. Because you don't have to commit. You can just try it on, like you're getting into role of someone else who is organized, let's say. You're just trying it on. There's no commitment. So if you are afraid of not doing it perfectly, of effing it up, of not liking it, so on and so forth, you can wash your hands of it when you're finished with the experiment. So I love that. So you can just try it on. And then if you want to keep it, you can. So it reduces our oh shit anxiety, our black and white polarized thinking. And it gets it into the, let me try this. So in other words, it'll help change how you perceive things and get a little bit more into the gray. Gives you a chance to experience yet still have an out if you're terrified. And I think sometimes we need that. Sometimes it's not good to have an out, but a lot of times we need that to get started. Eventually, you're not going to want an out. That'll come later. So in other words, you're taking small steps, you're experimenting. You can do things gradually, you can figure it out as you go. And by doing so, you are desensitizing yourself to the anxiety and you're acclimating to the new reality. Remember, your subconscious is adaptive. Use that to your advantage. That way it's not a shock and you're learning and realizing new things as you go, which is really cool. And it reminds me of another proverb that I love, a Chinese proverb that says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That's it. We just get started. So number 3, I think there's a cumulative and a compounding effect. So in other words, if you clean out the debris in your car every time you get gas, it's going to stay relatively clean. Cause and effect, right? Stuff we already know. If you walk for 30 minutes a day, think about it. I mean, sometimes we can go, that's not going to be enough. We minimize. But then we don't realize that means you've walked 30 minutes a day for 7 days a week. Add that up. That's a lot. The more you weigh and the less fit you are, the more calories are burned for walking for 30 minutes, for one. And at this rate, you can burn between, I was looking online, it says 630 and 1,400 calories per week just by walking 30 minutes a day. Not buying a coffee every morning. How much are you saving per week? Start adding that up. Get your calculator out. Start adding this stuff up. What would happen if you just got up 15 minutes earlier? You may get laundry folded and that's it. You may get time to meditate, time to journal, time to walk. It's all about perception. And I think changing the perceptions where we see 15 minutes as an advantage, as opposed to saying, that's not going to be enough, that's not good enough. We're projecting our not good enough onto how we do things. So small changes add up. Pennies add up. Small steps add up. So if you don't have a half an hour, grab 5 minutes, grab 10 minutes, you are going to feel better. And so the cumulative and compounding effect also is psychological, where the more you know that you're doing, you're going to feel better and you're going to want to do better and more. All right. So those are the 3 steps that we're going to apply to each category. Okay. Like we talked about last week, the first obvious one is physical, like your clutter, your unfinished projects, your house, your car, your yard, your workspace, your room, your purse. So let's talk about the toggle, all right? I want you to kind of think about, is there anything psychological or emotional getting in the way of that? Is it a reflection of how you're feeling on the inside? Are you feeling really chaotic and depressed? Do you need to go talk to someone about that? Do you need to just journal and do some self-care? Or do you want to do both? And you're saying to yourself, I would feel so much better if I just started cleaning that up, because that is true. Okay, and it's a compounding effect. Both feed off each other kind of synergistically, getting some help or journaling about your feelings of always feeling maybe like a mess or disorganized, or maybe someone shamed you around that, and starting to prove that different to yourself by cleaning up. So looking at your physical space and, giving some thought to that. And what about experimentation? What if you said, I want to just start putting things away for 10 minutes a night before I go to bed? Or I want to get up 10 minutes earlier, or spend some time this Saturday cleaning. You're just going to experiment some things. And when you do that, try to think of things that you probably could do. I don't want you to set up impossible goals with experimentation. It's not good. Do small things. Remember, you're going to do more once you get started. You know that. So the cumulative effect, you're going to feel more grounded, more serene, more organized, and more mature. And it's probably going to kickstart wanting to do more and better things, like maybe remodel, or really do a big spring clean, or a yard sale, or painting, or rearranging furniture, or whatever you want to do. Okay, so thinking about that, and also thinking about if you created habits around this to maintain it, because it's one thing, like we talked about before, to go clean out your house, but keeping it that way takes the maturity and the discipline. So I want you to factor that in as well. Maybe jot down some things if you can right now, and if not, just think about, okay, what are some habits I know would probably be helpful? And if you're not sure, maybe you go read about some organizing tips. Maybe you get a friend to come over. They're really good at it. Or you hire someone. Do whatever you need to do. Okay. So other people's behavior is the next category. People you've outgrown, you can't face. They're needy, dependent on you. They seem to be bugging you for help. Maybe you haven't been saying no to requests for attention, for your help, for money. Maybe you're not asking for help from partners, friends, kids, family members, that kind of thing. You're doing it all yourself. You're doing too much, okay? So other people's behavior and your own behavior. So, the first thing is I want you to do some work around that. Do you have some people-pleasing things going on? What does it mean to ask for help? There's boundary work here. Like I keep saying, if you need help with boundary work, find a therapist, a coach, find a group. Do some reading, do some work around that, okay? At the same time, practice these boundaries, practice asking for help, just a little bit. Just experiment with the benign stuff, right? So you're toggling back and forth between getting some help around the boundaries and the fear around asking for help. You're experimenting, and then noticing the cumulative effects as you go. You're changing, let's say, your family dynamic. If on a Sunday night you sit at the dinner table and you're like, guys, I'm going to need some help. We're going to have to do a chore chart. We're going to have to do something, right? Or when you sit with your partner and say, look, I've been doing too much. I want to talk to you. You're changing a lot of things this way, and I just want to remind you of that. That's what's cool. Compound interest. Remember? It works. Number 3, maybe you've lost yourself in a myopic person. That's the other category, like we talked about last week. Someone very selfish, self-absorbed, irresponsible. The toggle is get some help around this, get some loving accountability. Absolutely. And toggle the other way to practicing, just focusing on you. Maybe you're not ready to say no to them yet. Just focus on you. Take some time for you. Get your stuff done you've been putting off because you've been sucked into whatever's going on for them. Do small things. Go for a walk. Sign up for a class. Get out of the house. See your friends more. I work with people around this. Just create that contrast if that's something that you think you can start doing. I think it's probably better to go that route because that is going to strengthen and empower you to start pulling away from that relationship in a healthy, detached, loving manner. Doesn't mean you don't care. Just means you stop caretaking. The cumulative effect, you're going to get back to who you are. You're going to have a better relationship with them. Trust me. It's going to get a lot healthier. just by you changing. Okay, moving on. Number 4, toxic people. The nasty manipulators, controllers, emotionally abusive people who want and or need to keep you stuck. And remember how we talked about how awful that can be and very unhealthy for you, even physically toxic for you, I would add. So the toggle is, absolutely don't do this work by yourself. Get as much support around you, a counselor, a coach, and a group of friends or accountability or support group, because you're going to need it. You're going to need that army, because the nastier the situation is, the harder it is to get out, more of a shit show it's going to be. Know that going in. So the footwork that you do is putting the support around you and not fooling yourself that you can get out by yourself. You have a lot of healing to do. You're going to need a lot of help and a lot of support. Okay? So the experiment is you're going to start just working on that. Let me reach back out to those friends I've kind of let go once I started dating this person, that kind of thing. I'm going to reconnect. I'm going to tell people the truth. I'm not going to badmouth my partner or my friend. I'm just going to focus on me and say, yeah, I really stepped in it and I need your help. The cumulative and compounding effect is it will strengthen you and empower you. And when you're ready to walk, you'll be more able to do that. Don't try to walk. Don't set boundaries in a vacuum. Remember, you're going to cave. You'll be right back where you were. We're going to talk more about environments next month, so I'm going to leave that there. Number 5, mental clutter. Remember the obsessing, the ruminating, focusing on old news, unfinished business, things you wish you'd done, all those things. The toggle is, I want you to think about, where does this ruminating come from for you, because it's anxiety and control mixed with fear, not good enough, unearned guilt, lack of boundaries, the struggle to detach. You may need to get some help around these codependent traits. There might be some trauma behind this. This might be something you might need to sit with someone and really work through. I'll let you figure that out for yourself. But just creating awareness around that. And also, the experimentation is to say, let me stop. Let me come back to the moment. What's in front of me? Okay, let me breathe. Let me get more mindful. Let me get back in my body. Sometimes just even noticing how your breathing is and what your body feels like can bring you back. That really works. And I recommend to people, there's so much great mindfulness training out there and great guided visualizations. If you don't already have some of that stuff, I would go grab some. It's great. It'll really help you come back to the moment. Don't be hard on yourself if you struggle with this. This is something that's going to take some serious time to do. But what's cool is you experiment little by little, just even practicing mindfulness. You're going to fold it into the batter as you go, and you're going to go back and forth between ruminating and mindfulness. That's okay. But what's good is you're going to find different ways to stay more present and to let go. So the cumulative effect is you will slowly become more and more in the moment. You're going to notice and appreciate, oh my God, how much better that feels. Your relationships are going to get so much better, the one with yourself and the ones you share with others, because you're going to be more present. And it's also going to help you heal. We get up in our head because we don't want to feel. So as you become more present and learn to feel your feelings, that's the only way you're going to heal anything. So remember that. Okay, number 6. So how about that focus on others, right? Oh, that will be sure to fill up that radar like we talked about. A lot of this, again, you may need some help. The toggle is, do I need some help around my rescuing, my caretaking? Where does this come from for me? Where are the childhood wounds around this, perhaps? What are my control issues I need to look at? So the toggle is, do I need some help around this? And then also just catching yourself in the moment, like, what am I doing? They are none of my business. I cannot fix other people. What do I need to do today? Where is the focus back on me? What does that look like right now? So you go back and forth between, doing some deep work around this and just changing habits in the moment. The experiment is, I want you to try, see how it goes, to just focus on you, like for the next 3 hours, and take it 3 hours at a time. And just notice, just jot down your results, right? Like your observations, like, no one died. Everyone was okay. They didn't think I didn't love them. I actually feel better. They're nicer to be around. I'm nicer to be around, and the list goes on. Okay. So the cumulative and compounding effect is your relationships with yourself and others are going to get so much better. I promise. Okay, number 7, emotional negativity. We talked about, what you believe about yourself, what you say all the time, how hard you are, your perceptions. Is life horrible or good? That kind of thing. Shaming yourself, wallowing in regrets, saying it's not possible, playing it safe. Don't be vulnerable and trust the good, right? So the toggle is, I want you to think about what critical parent are you internalizing, because you are. And go back to some of the earlier episodes of this podcast if you need to, and explore whatever leftover childhood work you might need to do around that. Because that didn't come from a vacuum. You got that somehow. Maybe get some coaching or some counseling around this, especially if there's some trauma involved that you haven't worked on yet, okay? Practice saying or writing affirmations as the experimentation, okay? And I want you just to practice and just see how it feels. It's going to feel really awkward at first. You may have a lot of resistance. You may even get angry, and that's okay. That's normal. But just try some ones that you think you can do. There's no right or wrong way to do them. Try to feel them, not just think them. Like, give yourself some evidence. Say, I'm a loving person. How do I know that? Well, because I love my kids. I love my partner. I love my family. And I value kindness and compassion. So just write out a little bit of that. There's your evidence. Your brain is going to want evidence. So another experimentation is saying we all deserve love and respect, so that you just put yourself on the plane of everyone else. That'll help you feel belongingness and connection and reduce some of the fear, like, oh my God, do I really deserve that? Is that egoic? Is it selfish? Right? Huge cumulative compounding effect with this. And I'm sure you can already imagine this is going to help you heal. You will slowly absorb the good messages about yourself. You're going to slowly heal what caused the negative messages in the first place. And you're going to also love others better. Okay. Number 8, the daily, weekly, monthly tasks that you want to do, think you should do, but don't do for lack of discipline, organization. The toggle is, what feelings or beliefs do you have around being more organized? Like really, like if you got really honest. Does it piss you off to think that you're going to feel so controlled? Do you not want to be anal like that? I mean, what do you have attached to it? Do you think maybe you can't pull that off? Maybe you tried before, it didn't work? That kind of thing. So toggle between that and actually looking at how you would like to be more organized. What are your monthly things that, again, don't attach any shoulds or have-tos or god-awfuls to these. Just say, wow, if I did the laundry every Saturday morning, we'd all have clothes, right? Or if I sat down every week and asked for help from the family, all the chores would get done. The house wouldn't be chaos, right? So things like that in a very positive way. So the experiment is, what can you at least start this week? Like, can you at least chart it out like we just talked about? Can you find at least 10 minutes of planning time this weekend? Just see what comes up. And the obvious cumulative or compounding effect is, guess what? You're going to feel a hell of a lot better, a lot less beat up by life. You're going to feel more grounded, more mature because you have more self-discipline, and you're going to want to keep refining this. And there's not going to be that internal fight anymore between, oh, I know I need to do that, and I haven't done it. And I know I need to do that, and I haven't done that. So your energy will be replenished. Remember, saying no weekly to the chaos prevents chaos for next month. Okay, so number 9, trying to multitask. The toggle is, why am I people pleasing? Why do I struggle with boundaries? Maybe I need to go back and look through that and do some work on that. And I probably need some loving accountability in my life, not just once, but ongoing, to check in with around how I'm doing. So toggling between that and maybe starting to think about, when is it the hardest to multitask? Everyone is different. When is it most stressful? Why or why not? Figure that out. And then start experimenting when you can find those moments where you practice, right? No commitment yet, just practice paring down, doing one thing at a time. Like the laundry can wait. Let me get dinner rolling. Let me sit and talk to my child. Let me help them with their homework. It's really important. Then I can do my stuff later. Maybe delegation comes in and I ask for help so that I don't have to do 5 things at once. The cumulative effect is you're going to start being less anxious around not having it all done and having it all done now, around not having to be, quote unquote, running around busy all the time. You're going to feel more present. You're going to feel more grounded. Your relationships are going to get a lot better. Because, it's really hard to multitask. And if you're feeling stressed, it's not as fun to be around you. You know that. You're going to feel happier, more creative, and more organized. The last one is number 10, your physical well-being. And we talked about that means your nutrition, exercise for yourself, sleep, rest, and play. All right? All of them are important, so you're not allowed to leave out rest and play. Everyone that wants to do that, not allowed. That's part of the package, a big part. The research is coming out now, people, a huge part. So the toggle is, if you have a lot of anxiety, let's say around the concept of physical self-care, then I want you to go back and do some early healing work around this. Okay, maybe get some loving support around that or some help. And then you're going to toggle between that and making some small commitments to add small things, like maybe a board game with the kids on Friday night, maybe going for a walk a couple times a week, maybe, experimenting comes in here, getting rid of one bad thing that you like to eat during the week and see how that goes. Doing it slowly, doing a little bit at a time, working on healing around your anxiety. Like we talked about, if there are food issues, there's probably emotional issues there. What about self-care? What does that mean? Do you love yourself? Are you deserving of taking care of yourself? All that stuff. And then not being hard on yourself, but just start creating some small habits because they will add up. Every healthy thing you can do, the better. Every time you go to bed on time, the better. It means saying no to either watching more TV or trying to cram in and get a whole bunch of stuff done. Okay. But by putting that first, you're going to be more on top tomorrow to tackle tomorrow anyway. Okay, so we went through all 10 areas quickly. My hope is that you will take some time later and really flesh all this out in whatever way you want to do this. Hopefully it, triggers some things for you, and trust yourself in terms of how you want to tackle these areas, because I want you to own it. It's yours. It's not mine. And I think until we own something, it's not ours, and we're not as motivated. So some of the cool things, you can begin right away with this, right? So you don't have to wait, and you don't have to procrastinate, You can start working on just kicking your procrastination habit by showing yourself experientially that no, you can do things and you can do them well and you can do them on time. The second thing is each step, like we've talked about, will change you. It's going to change your perception. It's going to help motivate you to do more because you just showed your subconscious that it is possible. I cleaned one room, I can clean another. It's going to help reduce your anxiety and your stress, and it's going to increase your confidence. Because I just don't think that if this stuff didn't bother you, it wouldn't be an issue. But the fact that if things are bothering you, that you're not getting things done, it is draining your energy because you're going against your true self. So just remember that. The other thing I love about all this, I know for me, it's returnable too. And what I mean by that is any day, if you fell off the horse, you can get back on. You can return. It's so cool. If you were sick for a week, away for the week, you can return. You can get back to business. If you vegged for a month, it's okay. You were grieving. You were dealing with something. It's okay. You can return. Maybe even with stronger resolve. Maybe even better this time. I love it. It's right in the middle. It's not perfect. It's not horrible. It's good enough. And I can just get back into it. It's all good. You will acclimate to the new you. Remember, you're experimenting and expanding, and you're experimenting and expanding. And what you're expanding is your self-concept, believe it or not. Your view of yourself, your view of what's possible, your view of how you want to be, who you want to be, and how you want to live your life. That can slowly change over time. It's a process, just like for myself. I've been working on being a better person for the earth, a little bit at a time. And the more I learn, the more I want to do. I'm not trying to do it all at once. Just slowly starting to acclimate to the changes, right? Taking my bags to the grocery store instead of using the plastic ones, that kind of thing. And I'm just slowly doing habits, and it feels really good because it's not like perfectionism here, but it's a cool challenge for myself. And I feel good about what I'm doing. I can't stop climate change myself, but I can be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. So small steps will add up to big benefits for you. And again, you can keep tweaking this and adjusting all of this as you go. In fact, I want you to. Learn as you go, figure it out, get it together. And again, if you're really struggling with having healthy boundaries and you haven't listened to episodes 10 to 18, go back and do that or do it again. Boundary work is ongoing, right? So I hope today gave you a plan to get you started on your journey to what I think is honoring yourself and working on what's draining your energy. Next week, we're going to wrap up this month on energy drainers by talking about what energy gainers are, what gives you energy, and perhaps why. And want to check in around how what you've been working on this week is going. What are you noticing? What are you realizing? What are you healing? All right, so if you're not already a subscriber and signed up for the Tribe newsletter, go ahead and hit the show notes for this episode at ownitpowercast.com and go ahead and sign up. If you're already a Tribe member, you'll get that newsletter emailed to you, and you can get into past newsletters as well that have downloads for the episodes. So, all right. If you found this helpful, please put out a positive review. I'm seeing that the podcast is growing, but I'd love to hear from you because I want to know what's helpful and what isn't. It really helps me, so I really appreciate you doing that. And pass this on to folks that you may think benefit from it. All right, so thank you for joining me today. And remember, pay it forward, bring that focus back to you, and see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you can begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now so you can really own it later.